Hello and welcome to the Matthew Alton Art channel again. Another time lapse of me doing a pencil drawing today. Doing something slightly different here. You can see that I'm sharpening my 8B pencil lead onto the page and then using my finger to smudge the pencil powder, I suppose you'd call it, just to give a varied tone over the page. I'm then going to add darks using the pencil obviously, and cut out highlights using various erasers, as you'll see through this process. The actual model for this is supposed to be, well it is, Carlos Alcaraz, the tennis player, from one of his Calvin Klein photo shoots. Unfortunately, this is a good example to put on the channel of a sort of a portrait that doesn't end up looking anything like the person it's supposed to look like. I think it's useful to put these things on the channel in that I often say, don't let the likeness put you off drawing. I'm getting much better at likeness, but this was one that just didn't work for some reason. You can see that I've used an eraser to cut out the right side of the face there, the highlights, the lights coming from the right on this particular pose, and I'm using the pencil to add darks, and of course it's an 8B lead in here, so you can get quite dark darks using an 8B pencil. Part of the reason that the likeness doesn't work, I think, on this drawing is that the head is very small, so it's sort of an upper body drawing, and that means that on an A4 pad it's going to be quite a small area that you've got to get the likeness. I just found it really difficult to get the shape of his mouth, and I just struggled basically to get the likeness. However, that doesn't mean to say it's not a drawing that is okay. It looks like a young man standing there by the end of the drawing, and it's okay as that, you know. I'm not going to let it put me off. Maybe what I will do is I'll try and do a bigger portrait, just head shot of Alcaraz, and see if I can work out what I was getting wrong on this small scale. You can see I'm using an electric eraser, which I bought quite a while ago. It's just got a very small sort of pen-sized eraser that rotates when you press the button and allows you to delete or erase quite fine detail. You see I'm using it there. So this sort of using graphite on a tone background like this, and erasing and highlights and adding tones, allows you to go backwards and forwards with the tones quite well, because you can erase them but then add them back if you've gone too far, or make them more subtle. So you'll see a lot of erasing and then going over it again just to add subtle tone. You can see me using the electric eraser again to erase that side of the face. And then using pencil to add some of the darker tones on the left. It's a new sketchbook. I've used 3 sketchbooks in the last 3 years, A4 size sketchbooks, drawn on both sides of the pages, lots of pages in them. Must be hundreds of drawings, literally hundreds of drawings in the last 3 years. So here I am practicing again. Doesn't matter what the outcome is, doesn't matter if it doesn't look like Alcaraz. I'm practicing and using this technique of sort of erasing highlights from a toned page and adding shadows with the pencil. It took quite a long time, this drawing, because I was trying to be quite precise about it, rather than those of you who've watched the channel recently seen that I've done quite a lot of very short posed portraits and things like that. And interestingly, some of the likenesses for those are better than this, where I've spent quite a lot of time. So it just goes to show you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours doing a piece of work for it to be a good piece of work. As I said, by the end of it, it's sort of quite a good drawing of the physique of a young man. Got the angles right on the body and that sort of thing. Maybe I shouldn't have said it was Alcaraz, and then nobody would be any the wiser. But you know, this channel is all about showing the good and the bad, really. And as I keep saying, it's not bad, but the likeness isn't very good here. Using the pencil on the side, you have to be careful with an 8B lead in it though if you're doing that with a mechanical pencil, because if you press too hard it just snaps the lead. It's not very hard at all. The paper in this sketchbook seems quite good, quite soft, takes the lead quite well. You can see what I'm doing there is I'm erasing some of the tone ground that I put on the left hand side. I think it always works better if you sort of lighten the shadowed side of the figure background and darken the light side. It makes it pop more. So that's all I've done there, and you can see that the shadows stand out far better against that lighter background now on the left hand side of the drawing. And you'll see similarly shortly that I will darken the lit side of the figure, the background behind it. As usual, it's far from photographic. I don't have the skill to be able to do sort of a photographic representation of this Calvin Klein photo, but I wouldn't want to either. I want to get realism without it looking perfectly photographic. There you can see I'm darkening, as I said, the right hand side of the background there to make the light side of the figure pop out more. Struggling with a vein that shows quite well on that arm on the right there. And also there's some reflected light in the dark shadow under the arm, which sort of doesn't work quite well. Maybe I should have spent a bit more time on that. But hopefully this video has shown you a process that you might try yourself. Here is the final drawing. Overall, I'm quite happy with it as a drawing of a young man with good physique. It doesn't work as a drawing of Alcaraz, which of course I've told you it is, but that doesn't matter. Don't let the not being able to get the likeness put you off from drawing, because you will get better at likeness, and I'm getting better at likeness the more that you practice. Try and work larger when you're trying to do portraits, is my tip from this video really. I think one of the main problems that I didn't get the likeness here is that the head was such a small part of the drawing overall. Well, thank you for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do give it a thumbs up if you have, as usual. And if you're new here, then do consider subscribing, help the channel grow. And I will see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.